So over the last 2 weeks, Liza P has uploaded artwork to their Twitter account of different characters from the game. Now today what I want to do is do a few things. One, I want to talk about each of those characters and the quotes and some of you guys' ideas. Two, I want to talk about what their insignia might have to do with the game. And last but not least, I want to talk about their story arcs and who they might actually be from the original game. And then I have a couple questions to post to you guys and talk about my opinions at the end. There will be timestamps, so feel free to go ahead and check out the timestamps and skip forward and backwards and as you feel the need to. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I really want to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. I would love to have these conversations with you guys. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, Liza P is set to come out in 2023, but until we get there, I wanted to continue up the hype. So they did add 5 characters to their Twitter, like I said, in the last 2 weeks or so. They started off with P himself. Now, whenever they uploaded this content, they also put a description or quote behind some of them. And I kind of hesitate to say quote because Pinocchio himself did not get a quote. But whenever they uploaded the artwork of him, they put P, the puppet who wanted to become a real boy. Obviously, that's Pinocchio. In that, they're just pretty much saying that he's a puppet who wants to become a real boy. So moving forward, we have Geppetto, who looks pretty good. I mean, granted, in the trailer, before I realized that this was a story about Pinocchio, I was like, that dude looks sick. Now, Geppetto's quote is, "You are special, my son." And I don't know if it's a little cryptic because proper grammar is to say "you are special, comma, my son." But they separated it into 2 different sentences, and I'm not sure why. And it makes me think that it's something more cynical. Now, what some of the people were saying that he looks like Bloodborne's father Gascoigne. And somebody even said that like that's exactly literally him. And you can see on the screen now that there is a lot of resemblance to them. And so I'm not sure if they wanted him, like obviously they wanted him to look a little bit more sinister-y, especially like in the story when it comes to Geppetto being the creator, the maker of Pinocchio. I think they wanted to give him a darker presence in the game, so I'm not really too sure. Moving forward, we have Simon Manis. His quote says, "Nobody can understand me because they haven't walked in my shoes." Him as a character, he looks really good. I mean, like even watching him in like the game or in the trailer looks really good. I definitely, you don't get too much from this other than like his eye and the scar. And that's really about it that you get from him. After this point, this is the second character that they uploaded where the 2 of them had quotes, but Pinocchio didn't, or P did not have a quote. Which a lot of people were wondering if that means that P won't have any quotes. Like if like they uploaded this content, these artwork with quotes for all the characters, but except for P, does that mean that P will not have any kind of or quotes or lines or dialogue within the story? And I can say this with confidence, looking at the gameplay, there is dialogue when it comes to P interacting with the characters, interacting with the side characters and side quests and whatnot. It's different from like games like Elden Ring where you have your main character who doesn't actually speak, but he can interact with the characters of the game, but he doesn't speak. He doesn't say anything back. He's having dialogue, and there's a morality system where if he chooses to lie or tell lies or fib or whatever, it changes the story arc in the game and how the mode goes. So it is confirmed that we will be picking dialogue for him to say to different characters and different people in the game. The next character we have is Sophia, and she says, "Your choice will decide everything." And again, we're gonna talk about this a little bit later on, but she looks like what everybody is specifically saying is a blue fairy. Now, I have my other ideas about that. Again, I'll talk about it a little bit later on, but that is Sophia. She's very gorgeous. I really love the blue aesthetic that she brings, even the blue hair. Very, very gorgeous. She looks kind of like a child in this photo, but a little bit later on, we're gonna talk about it. And last but not least, we have, and I do not know how to pronounce it, Venania. I even looked up on Google how to pronounce it. Really difficult. He says, "I am known by many names, the Prince of High Society, Mr. Krat. For now, though, you can call me your friend." Now, this guy is a bit, he looks very cunning. You know what I'm saying? Very cunning. And again, we're going to talk about it in just a second where we talk about like the characters. He looks very cunning, and he has on this oversized like coat. Looks really nice. This really nice chest lapel. He has, it looks like a Trinity knot tie. And a nice, like, he looks very well groomed. He has color in his glasses, which at least it's very different. It's very different. Before I get into talking about who these characters might be from the actual storyline, the original storyline, I want to talk about something else that was noticed. Now, most of the characters that they uploaded to the Twitter in this artwork has like a chest lapel. Starting off at Pinocchio, he has like a lapel on his strap, and that I might consider a chest lapel, but it's not on his actual chest, like on his actual top. And that might be because we can change his top or whatever, but he does have like a little chest lapel kind of on the strap. I'm not too sure what it means. Obviously, there's only one character that we can play as, and so that might just be that. I'm not sure if it'll evolve or anything like once he becomes a real boy in the story or not. Moving forward to Geppetto, people were saying that the chest lapel that he has looks like the Illuminati, like Freemasonry symbol, which I understand. I don't think it's the same thing at all, but there are other people who are saying that it looks like maybe it could be like a puppeteer kind of thing, like there's a puppeteer organization or a puppeteer clan or something like that that he's wearing on his chest. I think that that might be true, but moving forward, a lot of people were saying that they think that there might be factions in a game for puppeteers, like different factions of puppeteers, which I don't think that that is completely true. I do wonder who all are making all the puppets in the game, but I don't believe that there are factions that we can play as when it comes to, because our main character is just P, the puppet, and getting there. We're not playing as multiple puppets. We're not playing as other characters. So as far as factions, I don't believe that there will be factions. Do I believe that there are different maybe chapters of the puppeteer organization? Yeah, I could believe something like that, especially like different economical chapters. I would assume that Geppetto might be like the top and like the most elite or the most sacred of the puppeteers, if that all makes sense. Moving forward, Simon, he didn't have a chest lapel from what we could see in this picture and the artwork that they uploaded. Next, we have Sophia, which I don't think that she necessarily has a chest lapel like the others does, but she does have this blue butterfly or blue flower butterfly on her chest, which makes everybody believe that she might be Blue Fairy from the actual original storyline, which we'll get into that part. But besides that, I don't see any like a puppeteer one or something that looks Illuminati-esque or anything like that. And last but not least, we have V. I'm going to just call him V. So V has it almost looks like a flight, in the military, you have, wings from like flight wings, which you get from doing a bunch of jumps. But he looks something like his looks like that, and it also has a V. And I'm assuming that V stands for his name as well, which would make sense to his character arc, especially if he is who I think he is. Last but not least, I want to talk about the actual stories and who the characters might be from the story. Obviously, P is Pinocchio. That's apparent. Obviously, Geppetto is Geppetto, which is his dad, also known as the puppet maker. He was the one with the puppet shops. He made all the different puppets, so on and so forth. But moving forward, if you don't know the storyline of Pinocchio, a lot of people might not be as familiar. There were other characters. There was the fox, as in Honest John. There was Blue Fairy. There was Figaro. There was also, wow, how am I forgetting Jiminy Cricket? There was also Jiminy Cricket. There was a good handful of characters. Now, Simon is likely the fox. I believe that Simon is the fox because Simon, he kind of has this soft-spoken, charismatic approach to him, if that makes sense. And now, when you look at the artwork that they put up, I don't want to say that he looks completely menacing or outright up front and blunt. He looks soft-spoken and kind of charismatic. He has this charm to him that kind of feels a little bit friendly at first. Next, I want to talk about Sophia. as the Blue Fairy, which is who she is kind of been talked about being. Now, I think the Blue Fairy is a great character. Blue Fairy in the storyline, who she is a magical being who fulfills Geppetto's wish of transforming Pinocchio into a living being, a real boy. She also takes multiple different forms. She helps Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket throughout their adventures to help him out as well. So, who I think she is in the main story would be the person that obviously transforms P into a real boy. But like I said, I do have a question about her, because obviously she's a Blue Fairy. There's like no doubt about that. Is she the one who really like helps out with the decision making? Is she the one who we see P go to for a little bit of assistance, a little bit of guidance in the story? Because that person we saw was the old lady. I'll ask that a little bit later on in my question section. Last but not least, we have V, who I believe to be Figaro, which is the cat. Now, I think that V is Figaro from the cat, and somebody else explained it too, because Figaro starts off as a favorite character in Pinocchio. However, originally he didn't like Pinocchio, and after Geppetto went ahead and made Pinocchio, Geppetto ordered Pinocchio to play around with Figaro, which annoyed and aggravated Figaro. Obviously, like, cats don't want to be played with and messed with. He even kicked Figaro. So like, when you look at V, he has this very like cunning like thing about him. Especially like calling the part where he says, "You call me a friend." There becomes a point where Figaro becomes friends with P with Pinocchio. Once Pinocchio eventually becomes a real boy, Figaro starts to warm up to Pinocchio, but throughout the time that he's not, he's really cunning. Now, the thing is, I might be getting V and Simon confused. They might be switched, but I don't know. He just kind of has like those cat vibes. Again, that's why I think V might be in the original storyline. Now, here's why I have a few questions. First off, do you guys think that there will be factions or some sort of chapters of puppeteers? Because I really do want to know who is producing all of the different puppets that we see throughout the gameplay. And there's a lot of puppets, whether they're dead puppets or the ones that we actually fight and combat, or even the boss puppets. I do want to know if there's different levels to who's making all the puppets. And so it is a good idea to bring up whether there are factions. I don't think it'll play much into P's storyline, however, but it will be interesting to see. A lot of people do think that Geppetto might be the final boss, which would make sense as well, because the final boss, the father, to kind of overcome a lot of different character and story arcs and morality and other kinds of things. So I think that there might be, in some sense, a level of progression when it comes to chapters or factions of puppeteers that you have to go through and fight. The next thing I did have a question about is the old lady that we see in the trailer. She is kind of jacked up. I do believe completely that she is Blue Fairy, especially the one they look comparable to the artwork, but the artwork is the prettier sense and the more youthful sense. But the one we see in the trailer originally is the older, much more devoured in the face, or burned or bubbly in the face, very decrepit one. And so my question to you is, there is a morality system, and during the developers' breakdown of the game, they did talk about how Pinocchio, or P, there are consequences to him lying throughout the game, except it's not that his nose gets longer. So my question to you is, do you believe that when it comes to him lying, that it takes away the youth from the Blue Fairy and takes away her magic? Or do you think that she starts off as that, and the more good that Pinocchio does, the more she gets her youth in order to be able to have the magic to grant his wish of becoming a real boy? I wonder if that's how the storyline is going to go. And if so, I think that'd be very cool, especially to see how that punishment system works for, his lack of morality, which I think is really awesome. That would make sense, especially if the Blue Fairy cannot grant his wish by the end of the story or whatever the case may be. So I do wonder. That would also make it more playable if you can go back and kind of change up some of those or not. I do think that that's probably the biggest thing that I have. Now, the last question that I have for you is, we see this artwork that they uploaded, but at the end of the trailer, there is a group of 4 characters that come up with a casket that they finally open it up and it says liar in it. I'm wondering who they might be. I wonder if they're kind of like death in an instance when you die, or if you've gotten to the end of the storyline, or if you've gotten to a dead end where you've completely destroyed the morality system and you cannot go any further. You made all the wrong mistakes and you now are at a point where you can't go any further. If that's when they come, or if they have, or if they're, you know, the lower level puppeteer, you know, classes or orders or chapters or what. I really wonder who they are, because there's been no explanation of who they are whatsoever. Only we just see them in the end of that trailer. We don't see them any other time. So I'm really wondering, because they also had masks on, but Geppetto doesn't wear a mask. I did not see any chest lapels on them, so I was just wondering who they might be. Well, this is why I want to give my opinions of kind of these like Twitter drops and the artwork that they've uploaded. I really think it's a cool idea. I mean, I am so hyped for this game. There are lots of people who are excited about this game. I think that the game is in a very good state. One last thing that a lot of people were saying is that they hope that there's not an easy mode for this game, like people were saying with like Still Rising having an easy mode. I don't really care whether there's an easy mode or not. I don't play on easy mode. And there's a lot of people who are also saying that they don't think that there should be an easy mode, or don't play easy mode if you don't want there to be an easy mode. Obviously, like I talked about before in my Still Rising review, and when it comes to like what makes Elden Ring good, is that there's one mode and everybody has to play on that one mode. I do want to confirm that they are only going to have one mode. They want this to be very soulslike, and they even spoke about that in the developer conversation at Gamescom 2022. That they want this to feel very soulslike, but also kind of bring in some new features and whatnot, and kind of change some storylines. So I really enjoy what they're doing with the story and with the game overall. I'm glad that they postponed it. I'm glad that we don't know yet at what point in 2020 is going to come out, but we do want to know when. But I don't want to rush them. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this character analysis. If you guys do enjoy it, go ahead and give this video a like. Explain down in the comment section any of your thoughts as well, and what lore and analysis you guys have. I would love to hear them. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content we do for Liza P or any other Souls, hack and slash, or RPG based games. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope that you guys have a great day. I hope that you guys have a beautiful goddamn day. I'll see you guys in the next one.